Yeah, I think that you're probably our best guest to end this on because you're concise. You're saying, what do we want out of this? We want to get the best flavor and the best taste. And you taught us something new, and you taught Jared something new because that was always fun at the very end of the 24 hours. And you did it in the most humane way possible by just getting right to it, so that it's not like
me. I'm Olivia, of course. I'm from Treasure Green Tea, and I'm second generation in the tea business. My father opened a shop in 1981, and I took over the business officially in 2003. So I do my own sourcing, and one of my favorite tea, of course, is I want to share with everyone is Cliff Tea from Wuyi Mountain. So Jared has already got a head start on it, and I was going to the Pu-erh shine is actually one that I'm focusing on today, although I've sent you two teas because I wanted you to do a comparison. So I gave you two packets of this guy. And yeah, so the yellow Gouda is actually a hybrid of Iron Buddha as well as Wang Jingui, who's a hybrid. And they planted in Wuyi Mountain. So it is a lighter version of Cliff Tea. And the one that you try is this packet, am I correct? One of the tea that's regarded as very powerful in terms of aroma, in terms of what we call yan flavor. Yan flavor is, that's something I want to talk about today as well. Yan flavor is very difficult to actually to put a description to it because it's the feeling of yan meaning the cliff. It's the mineral, and it's the feeling that gives you. It's like almost like listening to a piano that music that goes into your head and it brings you to a different environment. So that kind of feeling it gives you. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So that's the yan flavor that we are talking about. So through that, then you can tell it's an authentic Cliff oolong tea. There's also, when I say authentic, that means they're grown in the reserve. And there's a tea also grown in the half Cliff tea that has been in the border. And there's also tea that we regard as in the region. And those are called, typically they should be called Wuyi tea instead of rock tea or cliff tea. Some people call it rock tea. That's why I mentioned that word. Yeah, okay. So the way to enjoy it when you have, how to tell is authentic Cliff oolong, very simple. The mineral should be very present. Okay. So when you drink it, I was going to show you how to slurp, but we went through that, Jarek, some time ago, or a year ago.
Hey, I know it feels like that long. It was before the world ended. It was a moment in time before that happened. Now Ryan has not had your tea. He's not had but he does have some tea with him, and he's also enjoying this. He's the fellow who we split with. So we started it. We're supposed to slurp, and I remember this instruction. I found that really fascinating. There was a way for you to throw the liquid over your tongue that allowed you to experience it a little bit differently.
Yes. Yeah. So if you have some, well, slurping first of all, slurping is not for every tea. I do see sometimes people have a habit of slurping. Now, slurping is not for all the teas. Okay, slurping actually thin out the texture of the tea, and the purpose of slurping Cliff tea really is to aerate the liquid in your palate, so you taste the mineral as well as make it smoother. So when it's smoother, then you pick up notes, right? Okay. So first of all, I'm gonna make this tea. I'm not sure, are you sipping on that already? Okay, let's make some tea. Okay. So I'm gonna make the Pu-erh shang, and I'm gonna go for 6 grams. Good. By the way, if you are in Wuyi Mountain, their portions 8 grams to 10 grams. Right. In actually smaller gaiwan to about 120 gaiwan.
I have a friend,
and I found it that's actually quite powering.
I have a friend from the corner region in Wuyi Mountain who brings 8-gram pouches sometimes with him, and it's a pretty intense experience. It's really good though, right? It's just very, very strong. It's a lovely way to have it as well, though. Yeah. This is So I'm gonna do. I'm following with a second infusion. Am I being bad? Should I not be doing this? I feel like I should have been waiting.
That's okay. You need that energy. You've been on a
Apparently.
marathon.
Thank you. I feel like I would normally hope that I could be in a place where I would be just step back a bit and let Olivia lead this, and here I am jumping ahead on my second infusion.
Plus, I was, 15, 20 minutes late?
Oh, no,
We had some technical problem, but I'm just as excited as I was 15 minutes ago, so
Okay, cool.
no worries.
Okay, great.
So I'm talking about when I just did my first rinse.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing you notice with, when I say is very dominant, Bai Rui Shang is a very dominant tea. So it gives you a lot of powerful aroma, like orchid. It's a face when you just did a rinse, and then when you're in the second brew, so you probably would pick a little bit of would be more osmanthus flowers,
Yeah,
and a little bit of honey
very
notes in it.
aromatic.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's like a buttery quality to this, like that milk protein with a really strong flower. We have the magnolia, we have the osmanthus, we have the butter qualities, we have
osmanthus, and it actually, and the subsequent brews, what you'll find is a little bit of like a milky note. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the orchid comes back. It's very fascinating, this tea. That's why I chose that tea to present to you and keep you awake and keep you excited.
Right, yeah.
After 24 hours.
It makes
so
sense.
So I'm
Okay,
so let's just go
11,
right to how to
11:55.
enjoy it.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so when we talk about slurping, again, not for every tea, but for high mineral tea, you want to aerate it. This is tea to go with slurping.
Okay.
Now, double slurp. So when you sip it in, I want you to practice to sip it in and then let it fall back out a little bit, not dripping, of course. And then you want to sip it in again through your teeth. Now, your teeth is adding like a sprayer. So the liquid goes like that onto your tongue, and this is what you want, because that saturation will give you a sensation on your tongue. It will give you a little bit of tinglingness. You'll pick up sweetness if the tea has that substance in it. Of course, a premium cliff tea would give you that for sure. So how to slurp it is, of course, it's a little bit hot, so you don't need to do a lot. You're doing a small sip. Okay, so basically it's like this. Simple. So you're sipping it in, and you make sure your teeth are closed, because that's the hardest part. A lot of people will leave their lips too open and your teeth open, then it's on your tray.
Yeah.
So you want to close your teeth when you do that. Once more. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Do you
that's
taste
so-
the difference? So
yeah,
when you
that's so
sip on
interesting.
it, make sure you just do as a regular, try it just like regular sipping, and then try the next one with slurping. Then you have you can pick up a lot of difference in the taste and profile of the tea.
You know what I find that it seems to do is it seems to kind of break apart the tannin a bit. Like if there's a little bit of acid, by slurping it through the teeth, it kind of breaks up that acid a bit, and you get a softer experience across the tongue. And
Exactly.
that's super
Yeah,
interesting.
and then the notes become more prominent when the mineral doesn't overpower everything else.
Yeah, it's rounder, right? There's like a fuller spectrum of flavor. I find that
Correct.
fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
less tightness. You know, it loosens it up a bit. It feels like the teeth.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So, like I say, this tea for cliff tea, it should give you 6-8 different brews minimum.
Okay.
So then you get different spectrum of taste throughout each brew.
Okay. What
How am I doing with time?
I think we have you for another 6 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right. You're holding up okay?
Yeah, I'm holding up okay. This is great. This is actually an awesome way to end the show. I'm glad I think, Ryan, it makes so much sense to just have tea with Olivia until the end of and Jen, let's just drink tea with Olivia until the clock runs out. I think is a good way to end.
Hey guys.
And the
Cheers. I'm keep looking this way because my monitor is this way.
it's
So
all
I'm.
good. But
Awesome.
Ryan, did you have any questions for Olivia or Jen if you wanted to speak up, or is there anything you guys wanted to ask?
Olivia, I think that you're probably our best guest to end this on because you're concise. You're saying, what do we want out of this? We want to get the best flavor and the best taste. And you taught us something new. And you taught Jared something new because that was always fun at the very end of the 24 hours. And you did it in the most humane way possible by just getting right to it so that it's not like 20 minutes from now, an hour from now. You can still do it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. What are you sipping on right now? Brian?
This was the first steep of your tea that I let cool because we were running around trying to make sure that we could get things going. So perfect. I got to actually experience it.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. By the way, when this tea gets cold, it's also very flavorful, because it's become a lot smoother. You don't even need to slurp it as much.
Yeah. It's like honey. Yeah, really, really.
Yes. And another good way to enjoy it is to do a cold brew after. Very delicious.
Makes sense. Yeah. And like cold extractions really draw out a lot more of the floral and the fruit qualities. So I can see how like this being really heavy that way would make so much sense. I'm just brewing about 45 seconds for my third infusion. Do you think that's too long or too little, or would you suggest it go?
Actually, no. For the amount of tea leaf that you have, 45 seconds, it wouldn't be too much.
Okay.
I'm doing a full portion in 150 ml, so I am doing roughly just about 5 seconds here for my second infusion.
I'm kind of cheating.
I don't want.
I have this half full. My 180 is like I'm doing 70 mils over my tea leaves, so
okay.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Please.
Oh, that's okay. So I'm saying because I'm doing full portion of it. This is my full portion. It's not really. A lot of people are doing a lot higher, like 8 to 10 grams, as I say. But I find it here that things are more balanced in terms of taste. So you want it when you first started with Cliff Tea, you want something a little bit more balanced. So you understand what I mean when it's mineral, what I mean when it's floral, and there's layers of floral that you don't want to miss. And because the minerals is overpowering it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that's why 6 grams it is.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. Yeah, and I wonder if that's probably relevant to the water that we use here too, right? Like it'd be probably different.
Oh, we got.
Like a different experience in Wuyi. I imagine the water is going to be different again, and going to qualify or encourage a different dose. Is that correct? Are you dosing?
Yes.
For the West
even
Coast?
in Wuyi Mountain, if you were to use the water up in the reserve area versus in the city itself, it can be different. The flavor.
I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yes, so definitely up in the reserve, you taste a lot more smoothness, and it is more. I find that the body comes out a lot more. But then again, when I was there, I visit there every other year, and it's just very overpowering that they keep adding strength to their tea, 10 grams. Usually, when I sit there, they do 10 grams. And you just get a very nice tea high every time. So this is a tea type that I would say, you easily get tea drunk from it. It's just so much in it, it's so long lasting.
I'm so tea drunk. It's probably the most tea drunk I've ever been in my life. I have had so many cups of tea. I think I'm on at least 30 cups of tea in the last. Yeah, it's been intense, but it's been amazing. A note on the water, Olivia, is there's this really great water scientist named Christopher Hendon, and he does some research on water. And one of the things that he's found by kind of using a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment and bouncing around molecules in like kind of a closed system is that calcium and sodium calcium and sodium are huge. It wasn't sodium, it was calcium and potassium. I want to say calcium and potassium are the major vehicles for extracting flavor. And another thing is that when you have bicarbonate, like when you have sodium bicarbonate acts as a buffer in solution. So what this all means is that if you have hard water, but there's no presence of calcium, you don't extract flavor. If you have too much or too little, you're going to impact that flavor and slow things and speed things up. But another thing that's really interesting that we don't really talk about when we talk about, like, you know, a lot of the conversation has always been about hard water versus soft water, but the presence of the buffer is really important too. Because if you have too much buffer, you remove all acidity and you make it a kind of like a blank canvas. So you can actually taste water made from you know, when the water has kind of gone over glacial fields, and then you have a completely different, like, it kind of interrupts the flavor structure and you don't get any of this. And so this lovely acidity that we're getting off of this tea, like, it's a very balanced acidity, I think is made possible also by the fact that the buffer in this solution, basically the it needs to be present. You need a little bit. If you don't have it even a little bit, then it gets really two-dimensional. So we need a little bit. So apparently an ideal water is going to have a presence of a certain amount of mineral content, but specifically this calcium, and the presence of a buffer, the sodium bicarbonate. Isn't that interesting? I found that was it'd be really interesting.
That is, yes, absolutely very interesting. So that's why we call it the mother of tea is water. So water is very important.
Yeah.
We used to have a very specific water system here for making tea, and I decided it wasn't a thing that people can replicate at home. So right now, we're just using one simple single filter, and so at least people can replicate the same taste when they get home. But of course, by all means, if you have a better water system, try it in different settings and see how that turn out.
Well, it's exactly. And the West Coast is going to be different from what we often say to people is that if you have too much buffer, or you want to dilute and make, like, bring some distilled water and add it to it. But if you're, most of the people watching could probably make these teas and bring out some beautiful flavors if they just focus on this texture, this flavor that you're trying to draw out. You can actually impact the way that we experience this tea by using these tasting tools that you're bringing to our attention as well. So it's like, it's water, it's tea, but I think if we were gonna summarize the tea festival, we have this spiritual moment with our teas, but we also have just I think it's about pure enjoyment, right? And I think this enhances that. What you're showing us right now, Olivia, it really adds to this pure enjoyment that we can experience from our teas, and I'm grateful for that.
Oh, thank you. So, keep trying different drinking method. Is always something I say is you have premium tea, how to make it, how to enjoy it. That's all part of it too, part of the experience.